Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahma Vidvam. Okay, so I'm very happy that all of you are here. I know it's a rainy day outside, so thank you for coming, bringing your children. This time in Bal Vihar, we're going to do a text called Manah Shodhanam. So some of you may have those books. More books will come in 2 weeks when we have class. The idea is we have begun our journey with self-unfoldment. Some of you were part of that class. And then we went to Bhaja Govindam. And then we went to Tattva Bodha. So Chinmaya Mission has a study scheme to build the framework for Advaita Vedanta, so that everybody slowly comes to the topic. Otherwise Vedanta can be quite deep if we just face it head on in the beginning. Now this text, Manah, means mind. Shodhanam means purity of mind. So this text will focus all on the purity of mind. What is the mind? Why should we purify it? How to purify it? What are the obstacles in purifying it? And finally, how do we transcend it? Because at the end of the day, we are beyond our mind. We are beyond our body. We are beyond our mind. So before we get into the text, this text is by Swami Tejomayananda Ji. Swami Tejomayananda Ji is the former head of Chinmaya Mission, and he has written these texts which are called Prakarana Granthas, or they are topical texts which aid us in the further study of Vedanta. Now let's see, what is the mind? So when we think of mind, what comes to your mind when we think of the word mind? What comes to your mind? What is the mind? Thoughts, right? Thoughts. So the mind is defined first as a flow of thoughts. So when there's a flow of thoughts, that's called mind. So the mind is not the brain. These are two different things. The brain is the physical organ that that you can see if somebody's operating or through a microscope or something like that. You can see the brain here. But the mind is something that we cannot see. The mind is in what we call the subtle body. The subtle body. This is the gross body. Whatever you can see here is a gross body. The mind is part of the subtle body. So we cannot see it, but we know it's there because we experience our thoughts. So the mind is a flow of thoughts. Now, what kind of thoughts? Because your mind is different from my mind. Your mind is different from their mind. So how come we all have different kinds of thoughts? What determines the thoughts that we have? So two primary things. What happens when you watch a scary movie and come home? What happens? We get very antsy, isn't it? Every single sound, we're like, who's there? What happened? Right? But what happens if we just saw something so beautiful like the sunrise? How's our thought? Serene, right? Bright, calm. What happens if we hear such melodious classical music? How do we feel? Feel nice, right? Calm. What if we hear like heavy metal music? Bam, 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 bam. How do we feel? Uneasy. Maybe a couple of years ago we would have felt okay, right? Right? But now we're like, turn that off. The mind just cannot take it, right? Well, a couple of years ago, totally okay. Now we just want silence. What happens when we drink coffee? What happens to the mind? It's racing. Huh? But what happens if we drink chamomile tea, non-caffeinated? Sleepy, relaxed. Hmm? So why we have the kinds of thoughts we're having is because of what we see, we hear, we smell, we taste, we touch. All of this has an effect on our mind. So why am I having these thoughts now? Because that's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm hearing. You know, even if we don't want, when we hear music, it plays on and on and on and on, right? It just happens, and your mind becomes that sound. When we eat something, that becomes our mind. When we eat too much, we're completely groggy, completely lethargic. Even what we touch, when a child gets a hug from their parents, they feel warmth, they feel safety. So even touch has a direct link with the mind. And an even more direct link comes in our Chandogya Upanishad, where this Shwetaketu, the son of the Rishi told his son, I'm going to prove to you that the mind is made up of food. Not just of we eat, but what we see, hear, smell, taste. He said, son, I will prove it to you. So the son said, okay, prove it. So he told his son, I want you to eat as much as you can. Now recite the Vedas. Whatever you learned, recite it. So he ate and he recited it. Then his father said, okay, now I want you to take up a fast. Yeah? For the next week or so, you fast. And as he was fasting, the father told his son, now you recite the Vedas. And the son said, I don't remember. I don't remember. Huh? So when the mind is starved, when there's no food, there's no mind in essence. We can't remember anything. So this is a direct proof that the mind is made up of all that we see, hear, smell, taste, touch. And this is your direct experience. Again, the entire Vedanta, this is not some rocket science and it's not something new. It's telling us what we're already experiencing in our life, but we're not paying attention to it. Now, a question might come your way, is that, okay, wait a second, I have 2 kids. And they're growing up in the same environment, they're watching the same things, they're eating the same food, but yet they're completely different. Now you tell me, why are they like that? Huh? Now, the second portion that makes up our mind is called our vāsanās. Now, vāsanās are our past tendencies, our past impressions. Sometimes they're called samskaras, and they're carried on life after life. So we will find that some babies are born geniuses. That all of a sudden when they're 2-3 years old, they can solve a math problem like there's no tomorrow. Or they can just sing. You know, maybe the parents didn't have any ability to sing, but the child can just really sing so well. So these are innate tendencies that are carried over from the past life. That also has to do with our mind. So our mind is made up of our sensory input, which we call food, from the 5 sense organs, and it's also made up of our vāsanās. When we put these 2 things together, then we can understand the quality of our thoughts. And we can understand also how to change our thoughts. That's why they say satsang is the best thing. Satsang, association with good company, is the best thing because it literally changes the texture of our thoughts. Now, we know what is the mind. We know where is the mind. It's in the subtle body. But why talk of the mind? Why talk of the mind at all? So one reason I explained to the kids is this whole formula. I hope you all got it, right? Destiny, right? Watch your thoughts, because our thoughts become our words. And watch our words, because our words become our actions. Watch our actions, because they become our habits. Watch our habits, because they become our character. Watch our character, because that becomes our destiny. So our thoughts determine our destiny. Our thoughts determine our words, our actions, our habits, our character. They determine how we're going to be. As we think, so we become. That's why, special care is taken in Sanatana Dharma to always keep lovely things in the house. Nice murtis or pictures. Because unconsciously we are looking at them. Or to listen to mantras in the morning. When I woke up every morning, there was some bhajan, some mantra or the other going in the house. And that goes in. So our thoughts become our destiny. What is the second reason that we are studying the mind? Why are we studying the mind? We're studying the mind because who is the experiencer of life? Is it your body? It's the mind. Today is a rainy day in New York City. Now, all of us are experiencing the rain. Yet, some might find it quite joyful. Say, wow, it's such a beautiful thing. I love the sound of the rain. Some might say it's so dreadful. I don't like the rain. I don't like to get wet. And then, it's so groggy moving in the subway. Some might say, thank God there's rain because it's been such a dry summer and we need water. Some might say that I hear the sound of God's roar when I hear rain. Now, we're all seeing rain. We're all experiencing rain. The same rain is being experienced in different ways. Why? Because of the mind. So the one who's experiencing is really our mind. So at any given point in time, you and I have the ability to make any experience positive. Now now some of you might have this in your homes, instant pot. Who has this in your home? Huh? Now we need instant thought. IT. This is the spiritual IT. So whenever things are not going well, switch. You make the switch here. Okay, turn positive. Okay, positive. And that control is in your hands. It's in your hands. It's so easy. You don't even have to plug in anything. It's easier than an instant pot. You have to plug in. You have to wait till it gets warm and all of that. It's complex. You have to read a manual. Here, it's so easy. Just say, okay, things are tough. This is crazy. Switch. Okay. Now I'm better. So the mind is the experiencer. So at any given point in time, just change the mind. And the whole experience will change. This is why we study how to deal with the mind, so that we can have a better quality of life. Because in actuality, we've neglected the mind. In so many years, the past recent years, we've had so many technological advancements. We've boomed up outside like this. But inside, we haven't risen up parallelly. We've kind of neglected it, right? So we're in an age where, as I said, we have instant pot. So nobody has to stand in the stove anymore. You put the food and that's it. You go do whatever you want. No, we evolved so much that before we had one television in the house. And then there was no remote. You had to switch it like this. Do you remember that? And then every now and then it would black out. Right? But now everybody has TV on their phone. That way you just open your phone. And before, back in the day, we had stick shift cars. There was no automatic car, it was stick shift. Now there's self-driving car. It can drive on its own. And before, before the advent of any of this Wi-Fi or Google or anything, if we had a question, we had to find somebody to ask. Or we had to go to that big library, go to the card catalog, take out a book. Forget about it, I'm going to Alexa, right? I'm not going to the library, I'm going to ChatGPT. Huh? So now, technology is booming. It's so fast. But what happens is we focus so much attention on that we've neglected our inside. And so with the rise of technology, we're also seeing the rise of mental health issues. We're seeing the rise of anxiety. We're seeing the rise of depression. It's because we haven't done too much with the mind. So that is why we're studying it also, because we've neglected it. So one is that our thoughts determine our destiny. Two is that the student, the experiencer, is really the mind. Three is that we've neglected the mind. So it's about time that we do something with the mind. And four is that every day we're fighting battles, and most of it is with our own mind. Every day we wake up, and our higher self says, wake up early. But this mind says, it's rainy, go to sleep. Correct? The higher self in us, we can call our intellect, says, exercise, move your body. And the mind says, not today, tomorrow. Right? So we every day are battling with our own selves. So how can we face the world when every day we're fighting with our own selves? So many battles. Just from this morning to Balvihar, how many battles with ourselves we must have had? 5 or 6. Correct? What to eat? Should I take the subway? What time to wake up? To yell at the kids or not to yell at the kids? So all of this happens so to stop fighting that inner battle, inner conflict, is also why we're studying about the mind. And in our Bhagavad Gita, it says the mind is the best friend, but the mind is also the worst enemy. So at the end of the day, we're trying to make our minds our best friend. And if you see in all the religious practices, there is emphasis on grooming the mind. In all of them, this is common. So this is not only common to Hinduism. In so many religious traditions, this is common. How do we work with our mind? So we have seen what is the mind, why work with the mind. Now we will start this text of what's exactly happening in this mind. Okay? So we will start the first verse. And I will read, and then you can repeat after me. Okay. Paramatma dvayanandaha sarvabhutasthitopiha Ajnanena vrito drishtaha tathaiva cha mano malayhi. Okay, we'll chant it together. Paramatma dvayanandaha sarvabhutasthito piha ajnanena vrito adrishtaha tathaiva cha mano malayhi. So the first verse directly goes to the topic. It says Paramatma Advayanandaha. Paramatma means that supreme self. Parama, supreme. Atma, self. Paramatma, Advayananda is non-dual. Supreme Self is non-dual. Sarva Bhutastitaha api. And this Supreme Self is in every single being. But Ajnane avrataha adrishtaha. By ignorance it is covered. And therefore it is not seen, as though not seen. Tatha also evacha manomalihi. It is also covered by impurities of the mind. So I'll read the translation and then we'll explore. Even though the non-dual blissful Supreme Self dwells in the hearts of all beings, it is not experienced by them, being veiled by ignorance and impurities of the mind. So first let's look at the Self, Supreme Self. What does this mean? Now just recapping a little bit from what we've studied in Tattva Bodha, since we've had a long break. In Advaita Vedanta, we come to realize that we are actually different from the body, the mind, the intellect, and the ego. The Supreme Self is indicated as Sat Chit Ananda, meaning existence, consciousness, bliss. Existence means that in you which never changes. That in you which never changes. So this body is changing. Yes, when we were 5, we look very different from when we are now. Yes? And tomorrow we will look quite different and will be different from what we are today. So we know that this body is changing. We all know our minds are changing. We all know our thoughts. We have mood swings. That's why they call it mood swing. Thoughts are changing. We all know our ideas, our ideologies are changing. What we believed in a few years ago, maybe we don't believe in it now. And we all know our personality is changing. How I am, Shubhani, now is very different from how I was maybe a year ago. And maybe different from how I will be, right? So all of these are changing, but the one thread, constant thread amidst all of these changes is called existence. Existence. That is you. That is Sat. That constant thread amidst these changes. Sat. I am not only existence, but I'm also consciousness. All of these things we saw, the body, the mind, the intellect, the ego, they are inert. Inert meaning they don't have the capacity to know. My body cannot know me. My mind cannot know me. My intellect cannot know me. In fact, I am aware of my body. I am aware of my thoughts. You're all aware of your thoughts? I am aware of my ideas. You're all aware of your ideas? So that awareness is consciousness. Because I am aware of my body, I am not my body. Because I am aware of my thoughts, I can see my thoughts, that means I am not my thoughts. Because I am aware of this book, that means I am not this book. Right? So, that self is consciousness. Chit. Chit. And that's me. And that self is also Ananda. Ananda means of the nature of supreme bliss. I am the nature of supreme bliss. How do I know I'm the nature of supreme bliss? I feel so miserable all the time. I feel tired, I feel stressed out, so many things are going on. Yes, this may happen to the mind or this may happen to the ego, but that me is ever untouched. Because I am existence, I am consciousness, and untouched by whatever happens in the body, mind, and intellect, I am supreme bliss. I am supreme bliss. I am untouched and I am unaffected, therefore I am supreme bliss. This is the knowledge given in Vedanta, right? And that me is not only is that self in me, but that self in me is the same self in all. There's one self in all beings. That's called Atma. Now, even if this is what Vedanta says, even if this is what we come to understand, even if this is what we study, or even sometimes we can't understand. Why is it that we can't understand? Why is it that we have trouble grasping it? Why is it's so hard to live? It's because of ignorance. Two things: ignorance, and the next thing is impurities of the mind. So I'll explain to you by example. There was a couple, husband and wife. Now, they were all going out. It was Saturday night. They were all going out. And they were going to drive a car to the place. And so the husband looked very worried and said, I'm going nuts. And the wife and the kid said, what happened? He said, I don't know where the car keys are. I lost the car keys. I must have left them somewhere. He said, okay, let's look. And they started looking around the house. Even in the places where they won't find the keys, they started to look. Sometimes even in the fridge they're looking for the key. In this other place they're looking for the key. Everywhere, everybody in the house is tasked to look for the key. And everybody is going nuts looking for the key. And this happens for a good 10 to 15 minutes. Then the wife turns to the husband and said, we cannot find it anywhere. He said, but where will it be? I must have left it somewhere. She said, but did you do something? Did you check your pocket? And he said, oh, okay. And he checked the pocket, and lo and behold, the key is right there. So what is this? Don't laugh at him, because you and I are exactly like him. We can't laugh at him, because we are exactly like that. We are already the self. But we are looking everywhere else. We are already that supreme source of happiness. That bliss is already inside us. But we are looking everywhere else for it. And we're not able to turn within because of the impurity of the mind. All our scriptures are saying is, stop looking outside for the happiness that you think you're going to get. You won't get it outside. Turn inside, look there, you will find it there. That doesn't mean don't engage in the world. Engage in the world. But turn the direction of seeking inside. But we're not able to do it because of the impurity of the mind. No matter how much we get bogged down by the world, we still feel like it might be there. That happiness that I'm looking for might be in that new promotion. It might be in that new job. It might be in that new apartment. It might be when my kids go to college. No, it's not there. Something else will happen. It's not there. This supreme bliss, this contentment of the self is experienced here and now. And all we need to do is turn within. So he says, these are the two issues. And for enlightenment, we need to get rid of these two issues. We need to get rid of ignorance and also impurities of mind. Because enlightenment means having clarity of knowledge and having a pure mind. Somebody who has crystal clear knowledge and a very pure mind, that person is enlightened. Now you're going to tell me, but why now you're talking about enlightenment and all of that, but I don't want to be enlightened. What's so good about being enlightened? An enlightened being is what is called Jivan Mukta in our scriptures. One is liberated by Devi. The best thing about being enlightened is one is fulfilled. One is truly fulfilled in life. Whatever is to be done is done. Whatever is to be known is known, and one is content. There's no more desire to pursue something to feel complete. When we keep desiring things outside, we desire it to feel complete, right? We want that sense of completeness. And we get that sense of completeness for some time. We have children, we get that sense of completeness. But then we're like, oh, where will they go to school? Then we find a school for them and we get that sense of completeness. But then we're like, okay, now when are they going to graduate? Right? And we keep having that desire to feel complete. And we feel complete for some time. But a Jivan Mukta is ever complete. Because they're not reliant on other things. It's not that if this happens, then I will be happy. If this happens, then I will be happy. One is relying on their own self. And because of that, there's a lot of peace and there's a lot of ease. And that's the journey of Vedanta. So this is the essence of the first verse. Okay? First verse says that this supreme self, right? Paramatma, Advayananda. It is non-dual. It is blissful. And even if it's in everyone, we're not able to see it because of our own ignorance and impurities of the mind. Now we'll go to the second verse. Jnanena tu tadajnane nashte bhati swayam hi saha satyame tattathapiha kashtamekam cha vartate. Jnanena tu tadajnane nashte bhati swayam hi saha satyame tattathapiha kashtamekam cha vartate. Now it's saying that jnanena tu tadajnane, by knowledge, by jnana, ignorance is removed. Ajnane nashte. Bhati swayam hi saha, and the self shines by itself. Satyameta, even though this is true, tathapi, even then, kashtamekam cha vartate. This is difficult. So let us say we have attended, how many of you have attended Vedanta for a long period of time? Maybe like a couple of years, right? So one then says, I've been going through these satsangs, doing these satsangs, and the knowledge is coming, slowly coming. But it's still so difficult. Why am I not able to live it? So even if it's not Vedanta, so many times we watch these TED Talks, right? People watch TED Talks, you hear these podcasts, and they say, be a better you, live a better life. And they're giving all of us so many tips, right? And then we go to Barnes and Nobles or Strand's bookstore, and there's a whole self-improvement thing about how to improve your life. None of it will work. It will not work. All of these podcasts will not work. It will not work. And I'll tell you why. It's because it's only one way. We are just listening, we are just hearing, we are just reading, but we're not introspecting. It's difficult because we're not spending time to introspect. This is a very important point. That it's good to know what I need to do in my life, but I must also take time to see where I am in life. When you get in the car and you have to go somewhere, everybody knows the destination address. Yes, hopefully they know where they're going, right? You plug in the destination address, but equally important is to put the starting address, right? So if I know that that's where I want to be, I want to change, I want to do all of those things, great, nothing will happen until you and I say, okay, where am I? A thorough analysis of where am I? What are my weaknesses? What are my strengths? What do I need to do? And this is where Swami Chinmayanandaji, if you remember in self-unfoldment, he gave this brilliant method of introspection. I-D-N-S. I means introspect, D means detect, N means negate, S means substitute. So the first thing this introspection requires is I must close all the books, not listen to any podcast, not watch any videos, and not talk to anybody, but be with myself. Be with myself and say, okay, where am I falling short here? What is wrong here with me? Why is it that I'm having a difficult time? Why is it so hard for me to wake up early? I'll give an example. Why is it so hard for me to wake up early? What's the problem here? And then you bring your whole life into perspective. Actually, the problem is, I'm sleeping so late. I want to wake up early. I want to get out of bed early, but I keep extending my sleep. You see, the books will give us a general idea. All these talks will give us a general idea. But specific to my life and me, only you know what's happening in your life. Only I know what's happening. Then when I sit and I say, okay, you know what? That's the problem. It's not that I can't get up. I want to wake up, but the body's tired. It's because I'm sleeping too late. Then again, why? Why am I sleeping too late? Why is it happening? It's because I'm procrastinating. I'm waiting. All of us do this, isn't it? We're on Instagram and Twitter and this and that, and by 9 o'clock, oh my gosh, I have 10 things to do. No? We procrastinate. Okay, procrastinating. Okay, why am I procrastinating? Why am I doing that? Where am I wasting my time? I'm wasting my time in this one, in this gossip, in this chat, in this binge watching. I'm wasting my time here. Okay, now what do I have to do? Okay, stop that. So the first thing is really sit with yourself. That sitting with the self is introspection. Then the D is really going through the day and saying, where is it? Imagine like a radar is going on. That's it, that's the problem. Nobody will be able to tell you the problem. Only you will be able to know. Even I will be able to know. Many times we go to see somebody, go to talk to somebody to help us in the problem. Nobody needs to do that. Sit quietly. If one has the capacity to sit quietly and sit with yourself, I can tell you in 5 minutes you will detect the problem. It all takes just 5 minutes. Once we detect that that's the problem, then N is negate. Figure out now how to let that go. How to just have that conviction that this actually must go. I cannot be with this anymore in my life. This habit is unacceptable. And then the S, substitute. So the mind cannot take emptiness. If it's used to a habit, it needs to still do that habit, but you switch it to something else. Put something else there. And when we find a habit to substitute it with, right? So let's say at 8 o'clock, I watch this TV show, which doesn't really make sense, a waste of my time. And then at 9 o'clock, I'm procrastinating so much. Then at 8 o'clock, then you watch maybe something else, or watch a video related to your work or whatever you have to do. Watch that. Substitute it, because the mind can't be left empty. And when we do this, that's how we purify. So it has to have both efforts. One is the destination address, where all of these books and podcasts and things like that will help. But one is also the origin address, the starting address. Where am I in my life? Then Once you have this is my destination address, this is my starting address. Then once you plug this in the GPS, what happens? It shows you a route. Go here, go there, it will tell you how to go. Then we start walking. Start walking because now I'm very clear that this is what I have to do. And when we're walking, what's required is extreme focus. Extreme focus. That this is the path. The picture should be so clear. And where I'm starting should be so clear. Now this is where I'm walking. And sometimes in life, we feel like we need a break. This is too ideal. I need a break. No, sometimes you're like, this is too much. I'm being too good. I need to be a little bad for a while. Huh? This is what we feel. Huh? So when we're walking this path, this is my goal. I'm on it. I want to cheat a little bit. Okay? Okay, take a break. But take breaks that help us to freshen up. You know, when we're driving, of course we have to take breaks to fill fuel, to fill gas. Or sometimes we have to eat. That's acceptable. Sometimes also we're too tired, it's a long drive, we can sleep for some time. Or sometimes we need to stretch. And these breaks are perfectly acceptable because they help us energize. But if when we're driving, we're going to take a break to binge watch on something, that kind of break is going to drain us, right? Or if we're taking breaks to go here and there to other destinations which have nothing to do with our ultimate destination, that's just going to drain us even further. So yes, in life, when we're walking this path, take a break. It's okay. But take breaks that recharge us. We're taking breaks that drain us even more. And that's why we have no more energy to come back. So this is how to deal with these impurities. That knowledge, whatever we're learning, be it Vedanta, be it, something positive, something we want to change, it is not shining forth. It is not shining forth. Kashtam, it is difficult. I know it is difficult. But I'm telling you where the difficulty is. The difficulty is because you and I haven't sat with ourselves to see what exactly needs to be done. This is the greatest blessing. When you and I sit by ourselves, with ourselves, and see what we need to do, then slowly, that impurity will be removed and it won't be so hard. Swami Chinmaya gives us this beautiful example. Imagine eating your favorite chocolate. Let us say it is Lindt. The Lindt is good chocolate, right? But now everybody has a Lindt chocolate with a wrapper. And it's a very good chocolate. Now what if I told you, eat the chocolate with the wrapper? What would happen? Nobody would want to eat it. Huh? Ew, you can't even put it in your mouth, let alone digest it. Now I took all of your taste and fantasy about Lindt chocolate. Huh? So this is what knowledge is. Knowledge is like that Lindt chocolate without the wrapper. All of our negativities are the wrapper. So because all of our negativities are clouding this knowledge, obviously we cannot digest it. So what we have to do is take out those negativities and take the knowledge as it is. And when we take the knowledge as it is, guess what will happen? We can digest it, we can live it, we can transform, and we can realize our own inner being as bliss. This is what it is. Okay? So I'll give you a quick summary, then if anyone has any questions or comments, we can take that up. So what have we seen today? We've seen today that the mind is such an important aspect of our lives. It is mainly made of our sensory input and our vāsanās. This is what makes our mind. And it's not something that we can see, it's in our subtle body. It's different from our brain. Operates through the brain, but is not the brain. We're studying the mind because it is our thoughts determine our destiny. It is the experiencer of life. It is something that has been neglected, and it is something that we battle with all the time. And this mind can help us to gain the knowledge of the self. And even if we are the true self, Satchit Ananda, pure self, we're not able to comprehend or realize it because of ignorance and the impurities of the mind. And even if we gain a bit of that knowledge, a bit of that clarity, still it's hard. Because I told you, it requires two things. We can't just read and listen. It also requires a deep introspection within. And when we have that, and when we make a sincere effort, then we start to change. Okay, stop here. Anybody has any questions or any thoughts that you have? I think we have another mic also. Yeah. Any other questions or thoughts? Yeah, now take this mic up so that everybody can hear you.
So one of the things that I think a lot about is, so like maybe I have a perspective of something which may not, like which is not something that someone else believes in maybe. How do you, who is correct? Like how do I, like, is it that I am not able to understand their perspective, or is it like they are wrong? Like how do you know what is right? Like
nobody is correct. We should never go by the person.
Like the thought, basically.
In every situation, always go by the vision, not by the person. So every project, every activity, every relationship should be founded on a vision. I give it for a company, let us say. Company has a vision statement, mission statement, correct? Now, the company has that statement, and different people have different perspectives. Who's right? Whoever is following the vision, that person is right. So it's not based on the person, it's based on the vision. We always have to go based on the vision because people's minds have many likes and dislikes. We cannot trust our own minds.
Let me put it like in an example way, as you said, right? So we have hundreds of thousands of people coming to New York right now, right? So some people refer to them as illegal immigrants.
Yeah.
Some people refer to them as asylum seekers, right?
Yeah.
Big debate right now in the state.
Yes.
So when you have like these two thoughts, right? Or what happened like in Philadelphia, right? Philadelphia just like 2 days back, a lot of shops were broken into and looting happened, right? So some people say, well, that's the right of the people. Some people say that's wrong. Like, so constantly we are being bombarded every day with these thoughts, right? Like, so I'm just trying to understand, like, how do you know what is the right thing here? Like, if you feel one way, are you more right than the other way, or is it just our mind is sort of like with impurities in our mind, or our vāsanās that are clouding our ability to understand these events? Like just to put it in context, like what I'm talking about.
Correct. We have to see what the ideal of the nation is founded upon, right? So we have to go back again to that original vision of why this nation is there and what is this nation supposed to do, right? When we look at that, then we think about our dharma. Now, what is that? What is dharma? See, in Sanatana Dharma, we don't have so many rights. It means it's not a tradition of rights, it's a tradition of duty, right? And dharma means that which integrates. So when there is something that integrates society, community, that is called dharma. When there is something that creates harmony. When there is something that creates disharmony, that's called adharma. Now, it's difficult in this world to create perfect harmony. Some people, it might not work for a few people, but as we can get, what is the thing which benefits most people? What is the thing that creates most harmony? This is what we have to look at. So like in the situation of illegal immigrants, asylum seekers. Now look at, not that I'm in that field, or not that I'm saying what to do specifically, but I'm saying look at the whole picture and then see now what will create the most harmony for everyone involved. And that's what we have to do. The minute we start to think about the least, least people who benefit the most, or we go by our likes and dislikes, then everything turns around. That's why this purity is so important. Because even people in political power, even people who have such financial power, if they don't have purity, the kind of decisions that they make are gonna affect so many people. And if they don't have purity, it's gonna create more disharmony. So look at that. In what way will it benefit society most, or create most harmony?
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, there's a question. Can you pass the mic to
I can speak loud, it's okay. Are there some impurities that you have to live with? Like, if you believe in evolution, one could think that you're sort of hardwired to feel angry with some stuff. In which case, is it kind of a fool's errand to try to remove that impurity versus just accepting it? Not saying act on it, but
Yeah. So Raj, I couldn't hear the second part. I heard that do all impurities have to be removed, right?
yeah. So I was saying, if you believe in evolution, you might think that we're hardwired to feel angry.
We're hardwired to feel angry. Yeah.
And if that's the case, is it a fool's errand to try to
Okay. So we have to remove impurities to a great extent. To a great extent. See, anger is not a natural state. Because when we're angry, we feel so uneasy. So we're not hardwired to be angry. We're hardwired to be peaceful, and that's why we're always wanting to be peaceful. We're always looking for peace. So, to a great extent, our impurities have to be removed. They have to be minimized if this is what we want, right? If this enlightenment is what we want, the state of fulfillment, the state of peace, the state of balance and ease, if this is what you want, yes, to a great extent, our impurities have to be removed. And it is discussed here when we go into the verse. It will talk about the kinds of impurities that need to be removed and how to remove them also. I drink coffee. If we drink coffee, you drink coffee. That is not something, don't worry about that too much, But like I get angry, I have an anger issue, that's a problem. Like once in a while I like to sit on my sofa and put my feet up and watch a football game. Okay, cool, fine. But I've become so like jealous and this and that, that's a problem. So these are the things we have to work on. Yeah. Okay. Any other question? Yeah. Now you have to put the mic so that it's easier. I can hear.
You talked about if there's differences in opinion to go back to the vision. Is there a vision, like a Vedantic vision for family or child, when you're in the stage of family, marriage, raising children, a vision statement that could guide us guide us back to, the central vision.
When it comes to raising a child, this is what we must ask. In what way will the child best evolve? See, parents get caught up in, I want my child to be like this, and the other one will say, I want my child to be like that. Obviously, there's going to be some different perspectives here. But both parents should just keep all of it aside, look at the child and say, in what way is this child going to best evolve? That's what we should do for the child. Not what I want, not what you want, but what way will they evolve the best way. So keep the child in mind and their evolution. Because life is about the realization of the self, remember. So we want also the child to evolve accordingly. Sometimes we lose our thinking and that they should be great at math, great at science, great at this. But is your child a good person? That's what we need. We don't need scientists and mathematicians and all this to create more havoc in the world. We need good people, sensible minds, pure hearts. Okay, we'll say the closing prayer. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamada